All right, so we created a data source, we successfully connected to it, but then we failed to start the application because we didn't have any database migrations. So for this course, we are using Flyway, and Flyway allows us to version control our database. So basically, we can specify versions or schema versions that can execute SQLs. And basically, what we want to execute really are commands such as create tables, create indexes, reads, inserts, so on and so forth. So if I was to manage the state of the database that we have by simply writing commands right here. So if I open up item, so if I was to create all the create table from here, and then basically this would be really impossible to manage, and we wouldn't have a history of all the commands that were executed to get the final state of the database. And that's what Flyway gives us. So go ahead and read some docs if you need further explanation on Flyway, but it's very simple. So let's go ahead and add our very migration to create a table called student. So go ahead and open up IntelliJ, and inside of db.migration, let's go ahead and create a new file and call it as follow. So make sure that it's the exact same thing as I have. So v1 underscore underscore, and now you can give any name that you want. So in our case, let's go ahead and simply say students, or actually create student and then table dot and then SQL. Enter. Now let's go ahead and actually ignore extensions, and let's go ahead and create our table. So create and then table if not exists. So if it doesn't exist, we're going to create a table called student, and inside of this student table we want to have some columns. So we want to have student underscore ID of type UID, and this will be primary key and then not and then null. Next, we want to define the student first name. So first underscore name, this will be varchar, and then let's give it a size of 100, not null. Let's also grab this, duplicate, and then this will be last name. Next, we have email. So email and then varchar, and this will be again 100, not, and then null. And let's also say that this is unique. Finally, let's go ahead and add the actual gender. So gender, and then this will be varchar, and then the max length will be female. So male is 4 and female is 6. So let's go ahead and say 6 and then not and then null. And we also want to have a check constraint. So we're going to check that the gender equals to and then male, or gender equals to and then female. And maybe someone might add male lowercase. So let's go ahead and cater for those. So let me add that like that. And then let's go ahead and say or. So or gender equals to male, or, and let's also have another or here. And then gender equals to female, lowercase, right? You could use a function to, avoid this, but I just want to show you that you could have check constraints like this. And let me actually indent this like that. And there we go. Now, if I tidy things up, and there we go. So now we have this table called student that will be created once we run this application. So just let me show you that if I open up the actual database, so inside of this database, so right here, if I type / and then D, you can see that we have no relations. Now, what will happen is that as soon as we start the server, any migrations inside of db.migrations or any SQL files inside of db.migrations, so any SQL inside of this folder right here, will be executed against our database. So let's give that a go. Go ahead and press play. Just give you a second. And there we go. So now we are up and running. And right here, I just want to show you that Ikari started, completed, database. So the database factory. So you can see that we have Amigos Code demo, Postgres 11, validated one migration. And you can see that the initial schema was empty and then successfully applied one migration to schema public. Now let's go ahead and inspect our database. So if I open up PSQL, and previously when I typed /d, we had no relations. Now let's go ahead and type /d again, enter, and there we go. So now we have two tables, student and flyaway schema history. So there we go. You successfully managed to integrate Flyway to execute SQL with Spring Boot. This is awesome. Next, let's go ahead and investigate these two tables.